I don't think I'll end up doing any of the tiebreakers.
Yeah, I rarely do the tiebreakers.
I don't think it factors in
at
at all.
Here we go.
Yes.
Let's go live. And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And also, I'd like to welcome to my house my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mike. So it was a nice day off, and it was a relaxing, what felt like a longer 6-hour drive, having to go through construction zones up here in northwest Iowa. But we made it, and we made it at a pretty we got into town in a decent hour. So I'm happy.
We're doing the show, and it's still 3 minutes before we normally start the show on a standard weekend, so that we do a Friday night show. So, no big deal on that. Rich, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. By the way, I had a not so relaxing, 2/3 of the day off.
Okay.
Maybe 1/3 of the day off, actually, in all actuality. Because the water main broke at the daycare, and so I had to have the kids all day. They were great. I love spending time with my kids. I don't babysit my kids. I spend time with my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to spend the day together. We had fun, but it was not quite as relaxing as, maybe playing video games or whatnot, like a planned day off. Okay, Rich, we have Cubs baseball to talk about, along with, Banana Ball?
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit of Banana Ball.
What else we got, Rich?
You know what, Mike? We get to go into the NASCAR Corner, presented by AAA Sports Cards Incorporated. And this week's NFL topic is fantasy football. We're going to give you buyer bewares, not do not draft, just buyer beware.
Yeah.
A sleeper candidate, and maybe sleeper or maybe a breakout candidate. And, of course, our 6-pack of players that we feel are the top players at each position. Mike, all that and more, but what do we got to do first, bud?
We're going to roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back, Rich. So, let me get to both of us. Okay, there we go. A little bit different on my mixing this week, so it takes a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, before we get started, we have a poll question to talk about.
We do. This week's poll question was living on a prayer against Whoop. There it is.
Yeah. I was shocked by this one.
Really?
8 people voted.
All right.
8 people voted.
Gotcha. Where did the votes go, Mike?
5 votes for Whoop, there it is, and
all right.
3 votes for Living on a Prayer.
All right. I was one that went with Whoop, there it is.
I went with Living on a Prayer.
All right.
I mean, I suppose it's been out for 40 years. Bon Jovi should be past halfway there by now.
Mm-hmm.
But, man. So, we do have to move on. What is this week's poll question, Rich?
This week's poll question, Mike, will be... well, hold up here, Mike. We got to give our show shout-outs. Tell people who voted for which song. We got to give those shout-outs or else people won't vote.
Yeah, that's true. Those shout-outs go to Whoop, there it is, was Jordan Stroop, Josh Hendricks, Danielle Hart, Joel Wise, and you.
All right.
Living on a Prayer, me, Solomon Stroop, and Sue Hart.
All right. So, folks, you can find our polls over on Facebook at Fans of Balls and Sticks or Balls and Sticks, and probably on mine or Mike's Facebook page. And if you vote, you'll get a shout out. Yeah. So this week's poll, Mike, will be "We Will Rock You" and "Welcome to the Jungle."
Yeah. That's a good lineup against each other. That'll be fun. Okay, Rich, let's talk Cubs baseball. As I got to watch one full baseball game, and the last couple innings of a second baseball game today, as we had a doubleheader in Cincinnati. We had 2 against Pittsburgh and 3 against the Brewers. Rich, I said 5, you said 4. How'd we do?
Mike, they went 5-2 as they swept the 2 games against the Bucks. We took 2 of 3 from the Brewers, and we split the doubleheader with the Reds, making us 5-2. So you hit it.
Yeah, it is, and that leads us into talking about standings.
Yeah.
As the Cubs are now 1.5 games back. 1.5 games back from Milwaukee in taking the Central. That is crazy to see.
It says right now, Mike, they are actually 3 games in back for the Central Division.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The game
wild
and a half
card.
is they're plus 1.5 in the wild card.
That's right. Okay.
But still, they're within 3 games of the division, which is it's still within striking distance. The Brewers are also just as hot as the Cubs are right now, and they're playing playoff teams fighting for a playoff positioning too. So they're playing hard teams too.
Yeah.
So it could go either way.
I'm amazed at how good the Cubs have been doing the last month. It's really exciting to see. Rich, do you have our predictions?
I do.
I do ready to go.
Have those up. So
okay.
I'm sure you're looking at the National League, so we'll start there.
Okay.
Mike, in the National League East, we both said the Atlanta Braves.
And they are up 14 games.
Yeah. They are really looking like the team to beat.
Yeah. By far and away, they are they're playing 660 for their percentage.
All right. Over in the Central, we both said the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, they are in the basement. They are 16 and a half games back from Milwaukee.
All right.
Good to see. About time to see those Redbirds suffering for once.
Yeah, but at the same time, as good as the Cardinals have been over all these years, you kind of had to apply the same logic that you sometimes do with the New England Patriots. Until somebody overtakes them on a consistent basis, it's hard to pick against them. And I still didn't see them just cratering off and being so far down in the division.
Yeah. Does that get a retroactive MVP vote for any of their guys that retired last year?
Yeah, I think Yadi Molina is maybe was a bigger part of that team.
Yeah.
Than what anybody thought, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's back. If he's back wearing the Cardinal red, but as the manager, one day, maybe not next year, maybe not within the next year or two, but it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe 3 or 4 years into his retirement, the Cardinals tab him to be their skipper.
Yeah, I totally think that could be a great move for them, and I think he could do great things in the organization. And again, just seeing how much they've fallen off in the last year, losing him is crazy to see.
Yeah, and as much as you were saying, the Cubs should never let Wilson Contreras go.
Yeah.
What has he done since he left the Cubs?
I don't... I mean, he still has a pickoff move that rivals most anybody.
Well, what's he doing with the bat? We're getting just the same offensive output as with Yan Gomes.
Yeah.
With Yan Gomes behind the dish as we would with Wilson Contreras, if not a little bit better.
I think it's been a little bit better. Yan Gomes has been amazing, and it's great to see. But man, I still think
he might have been able to control the running game a little bit better, but the concerns the rumblings that you heard with him not being able to handle the pitching staff very well, reared their head once again in St. Louis.
Yep.
All right, going over to the West, Mike.
Yeah.
We said you had the Dodgers. I put the San Diego Padres.
Well, it looks good for me as the LA Dodgers are up 13 and a half games over San Francisco, and the Padres are 22 games back, Rich.
Yeah, I guess it just goes to show you can't buy. You can have a good team on paper, but it's not always going to translate on the field,
Yeah.
which is what we're going to see with one of our one of our wild card teams too.
100%.
All right, so for the wild cards, Mike, you put the Padres, the Mets, and the Phillies. I went with the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Phillies. Who are the top 3 wild cards if the playoffs ended today?
Well, the top wild card is the San Francisco Giants. Or are they the? Yeah, they're the San Francisco Giants have the top wild card, and second place is the Cubs, and
May I, Mike?
yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. Phillies.
The Phillies have
Phillies
the top
first,
wild card.
Cubs second. San Francisco has that third wild card. That's what it is. I read that wrong.
Yes. So if the playoffs ended today, the Giants would be facing the Milwaukee Brewers, as they have the worst record amongst the division leaders, and the Cubs would be traveling to Philly for a win or go home game.
Man.
The 2 teams we put in as a wild card, the New York Mets, are 8.5 games back of a wild card, let alone their division, and the Pods are also 8.5 games back.
Yep.
The Mets, another team that you can see, you can spend all the money that you want to field a winning team, but winning the offseason and having a good roster on paper doesn't always produce the results on the field.
Yeah, it's been great to see some of these teams that have actually farm system teams out. The Cubs spent a little money, but a lot of their guys are homegrown. Milwaukee does a lot of good growth through farm system. Yeah, and Atlanta does as well. So it's great to see teams that are doing well by natural growth, as opposed to spend, and I'll make money some way.
Yeah, and Mike, I have here noted that we made sleeper teams.
Oh yeah,
and your sleeper team, Mike, that you identified was the San Francisco Giants.
Okay,
they hold the final wild card right now.
Yeah, who is your sleeper team?
I put the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, we'll get to them.
Yeah. So, Mike, with the NLCS, mine's looking terrible. As I said, the Padres over the Mets.
Yeah, that's not happening, Rich.
No, it's not.
Nope.
And you had the Dodgers over the Phillies.
I like that still.
Yeah, I could see that holding up. We'll get to our World Series matchup once we go through the AL. So the AL East, Mike, we both said the New York Yankees would take that division.
Yeah, that was a bad pick, as they are 18 and a half games back from your sleeper pick.
All right. Did not see that coming. I was thinking that Baltimore as a sleeper would maybe contend for a wild card. Never thought they would win the division. Over in the Central, Mike, we both went with the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, they are 4 and a half games back from the Twinkies.
All right. Neither of us put the... Okay. In the West, I went with the Houston Astros, or the Houston Baseball Club, as we call them on this show.
Asterix.
And you went with the Mariners.
Yeah. So the Asterix have the division. The Mariners are only a half game back, however.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you first made that pick, I thought, and you even said it, I'm just picking them because I don't want to pick Houston.
I knew that.
But the Mariners are actually doing really well.
So I picked it because I didn't want to pick Houston, but I also knew that the Mariners had a chance to I thought they could make a wild card. Honestly, I thought at best they're going to get a wild card. I didn't want to give it to Houston. I thought both of those teams would make the playoffs.
Okay.
But I didn't think it would be as close as it is. I'm pleasantly surprised. And let's go Seattle.
Okay, for the wild cards, Mike.
Yeah.
You put the Jays, the Houston Ball Club, and the Twins. I went with the Jays, the Rays, and the Twins.
Well, the Rays are 6 games up on the wild card, so they have the first wild card.
Okay.
The Mariners have the second wild card at a half game back on the wild card, by the way. Or they're plus a half game on the wild card.
Okay.
And then the actual final wild card team is the Texas Rangers. The Twins are currently 4.5 games up in the Central.
So where are those Blue Jays in the wild card standings?
They are 35 games back, so they are out of contention. I believe they are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Oh wait, no, Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays. They're like 2 games back. They're 2 games back.
2.5 games back. 2.5 games back.
2.5.
Sorry, I was thinking you said the Royals.
No, yeah, the Royals are way back there.
Yeah.
The Guardians, the team we thought would at least win the Central, is 10.5 games back of a wild card.
11 full games back as of what MLB has right now.
Yeah, they're closer to their division, being only 5 games back of the Twins.
Yeah.
So the American League CS, Mike, you went with the Yankees over the Guardians. I went with the Yankees over the Blue Jays.
Yeah, neither one of us is going to be anywhere near right on that one. Do you want to take a stab at it currently, or do you want to wait until the actual end?
You know, I will wait until the playoff field is set to redo these predictions instead of doing them now. Now our World Series, Mike.
Yeah.
So I don't think mine has any chance of making it. As I said, the San Diego Padres over the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. In fact, let's take a look.
It's not going to happen.
The Yankees are 19 games out of the wild card. Or no, they're 10 games out of the wild card. So they theoretically are still in it, technically. However, the San Diego Padres are 8.5 games, so also technically still in it. Technically have a better chance than the Yankees to make it. So there is that.
Okay, and Mike, you had the Yankees over the Dodgers.
The Dodgers look like they should be doing well. And then the Yankees, well, like we said, that's not looking so hot.
Yeah, right now I almost got to think Atlanta is the team to beat across both leagues at this point.
Yeah, I think
that's
probably close to accurate. Nobody, however, is that accurate? Nobody has clinched the division yet.
No, a lot of these divisions are really close this year, so it's going to be fun to watch as we come down the stretch. And as moving on in the MLB, how many wins are the Cubs going to get this week? They got 2 more down in Cincinnati. They come up for 3 games against the San Francisco Giants, and the Diamondbacks also come into town to close out going from show to show.
So all of those teams, the Reds are the only team that aren't really playing for, they're a game and a half back. So they are technically fighting for a playoff. The Giants are definitely fighting for their life in the playoffs. And who's the last team?
The Diamondbacks are also fighting to get above that cut line and be in the playoffs.
So this is going to be a rough week for us. I still think they can pull out 5. They have been playing great baseball, and I think they will continue to. Watch them to be the hot team. And honestly, if they win 5, maybe they can win the division.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a week where you're also rooting for the Brewers. Even though it won't, because they're facing Philly right now. So if Milwaukee can help us out and beat Philly, we could be the top wild card
They
team.
did beat Philly.
By the end of the week.
They beat Philly tonight.
We could be the top wild card if we take care of our own business. But facing other playoff teams like the Giants, the D-backs, and the Reds, I'm going to give them 4 wins and kind of play it safe. Still a winning week, but
Yeah.
But even even going 4-3 in that 7-game stretch, considering who they're playing, that still would put them into still being in the playoffs with an above 500 week. So
yeah,
I'd feel good if they got 4 wins.
I'd be happy with 4 wins. I really would be, but I think they can do better than that. So let's go.
All right, and Mike, speaking of the playoffs, Mike, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn?
It is, Mike, and what's after that?
It's another left turn because we're heading into the NASCAR corner. Presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs, either on their eBay store or in person on 5th Avenue in Moline. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated.
All right,
Rich.
Mike. So last week we were in Daytona for the regular season finale for the Coke 0400.
Yep. I'm not even mad at how it ended.
No, a scary ending for Ryan Pierce.
Yeah, that was one of those scary moments where you're like, man, is he okay? And then watching him, like seeing him get out of the car helped.
Okay.
Getting taken off by a stretcher, not so much. Did you get to watch it?
I didn't. I was in Des Moines at the ball game. So
yeah.
I watched it. I think we put the race on the radio feed while we were waiting for the parking lot to clear out so we could leave. But that was the only way that I got to see the race. So your race winner was Chris Buescher. My pick of Brad Keselowski came in second. Mike Bubba Wallace came in 12th, but that was a high enough finish to secure him a playoff spot, since a new driver that wasn't already in the playoffs did not win the race.
Yep.
Finishing up the regular season, winning it 18-13. Mike.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm okay with that. I mean, at mid-season, it looked like I was going to be 15 races back, and I made a decent showing out of it in that second half. Let's go into the playoffs, where we both pick both a playoff driver and a non-playoff driver. Rich, how does that change your outlook for fantasy as well?
It really doesn't. I'm still, because regardless of how you choose to put together your rosters, you are limited to 5 total uses throughout the playoffs, which reduces it from 10 uses from the regular season.
Yeah.
But I'm still I'm still reading the Fantasy Fast Lane every Friday to help me to see if what the experts suggest as a lineup aligns with who I would put in there, looking at the track history. And I don't really tend to look too much at who's in the playoffs and who's not when I'm finishing my roster. When I'm putting up my roster, when I start getting down to maybe 1 or 2 uses for people, then I might question, is their track history enough to possibly lose them for a later race, but not in the first race.
Okay.
So, Mike, we do pick for our show predictions, though. We pick 1 playoff driver and 1 non-playoff driver, with the potential to get 3 total points, depending if one of our drivers wins the race, and then depending on where the drivers finish on the grid. So, Mike, I'm going to go with William Byron and Eric Jones this week.
Okay, that's the good picks. Good picks. I really, honestly, I like those 2. I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott has something to prove for the rest of the season. He doesn't care. He's win or don't care. He's not playing for he's not in the playoffs for playoffs' sake. He's in it just to win races, and that's all he's after right now. So watch out, because that is a dangerous guy to be around. Is somebody that doesn't care on anything.
Gotcha. All right, Mike. So before we go on to the gridiron, Mike, our preseason pick to win it all. Mike, you said Denny Hamlin. Are you sticking with it, or are you going to change to somebody else before the playoffs start on who you think will win the overall championship?
I'll stick with Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
I like Denny.
Yeah, I went with Ross Chastain. He's kind of He's not winning as many races as he did last year. But he is my favorite driver. So I'm gonna stick it out and see that maybe he was using the regular season to test different things to see what works best, and he's gonna pull those out of his pull that out of his sleeve and use those in the playoffs. So I'll stick with Ross Chastain as well. But William Byron's going to be, could be the driver to watch throughout these playoffs.
Yeah, I could totally see him doing great things in the playoffs. But I'm more hoping for a great play from some other guys, and we'll get into more on how the season looks. But Denny Hamlin, being my favorite driver, seriously going to be who I go with. So.
Gotcha. All right, Mike. So that was the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. You can find them on the eBay and in downtown Moline on 5th Avenue. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. So, Mike, we made it all the way down to the second to last week for our NFL preview coverage, and this week we are talking fantasy football. But before we do, we'll just get this easy, quick thing out of the way. The NFL season kicks off on Thursday with the Lions taking on the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. And part of our regular coverage during the regular season will be picking the Thursday night football game every week, regardless of who the two teams are, because that happens in between our shows. So, Mike, are you going Lions or Chiefs?
Man, honestly, everybody's talking about how great the Lions are going to be this year. Don't think they're going to be that as good as everybody's hyping them to be. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I have yet to see them have an actual real hangover from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Not at home, not on banner unveiling night are they going to lose the game. So
nope.
I think their defense could suffer without Chris Jones up the middle, bringing pressure and stuff in the run, but Detroit isn't known as a running team anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter. And until they get Chris Jones back, you might see more shootouts, but Kansas City has the offense to be able to outscore people if their defense isn't slowing people down anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Football in 1 week, Rich. Are you excited?
I am.
You hyped? Ready for the season to start? With that, you are probably going through this weekend is a ton of fantasy drafts. With those fantasy drafts, you may have some questions. We're here to help. Rich, let's get started as we help out the people. First and foremost, what are we going with first? Okay, first we are going to do, let's say you have the number 1 pick overall, which I do.
Yep.
Who are you picking?
If I had the number 1 pick, the one pick I hate number 1. I mean, depending on I think even if the league is set up that a quarterback can get you a lot of points, I really almost would have to lean towards drafting Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts first.
Yeah, I like that as a thing. I like Jalen Hurts a lot, but I would say probably. So again, we're talking on a league that you and I have. It has a super flex and it's a PPR league.
A quarter point PPR, but a PPR, yes.
Yeah, it's still a PPR. I think there is argument to be made for the Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen train, but
okay.
Justin Jefferson statistically will get you lots of points in a PPR league.
All right, Mike. So, what position do you want to start with in giving the 6-pack of players that we think are the best at that position, in our opinion, as well as maybe sleepers and buyer bewares?
I'll let you pick.
Okay. Let's go with the position that you think on this show you've repeatedly said is the most important position in fantasy sports.
100% is.
All right, the tight end.
Yeah. I mean, tight end number 1, Travis Kelce, right?
Yep. Totally agree.
Not even a question on this one. I don't see how you pick anybody else. If you're going to be the guy that picks the first tight end, make sure you get the one that makes it worthwhile. Pick up Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and the number 2 spot, I think it's Mark Andrews in Baltimore.
Yeah, he's made an argument for himself to be number 2. I would also argue you could make a T.J. Hawkinson argument there as well. That I think he's pretty decent. But again, the drop off between so one of the things that I like to use is if you ever look at the guides on auction leagues, where that person's value should be about, right? That's a fairly decent way to figure out value of a player. Travis Kelce, how much do you think ESPN predicts his auction value would be worth, Rich?
I'm gonna say in the $20 range. I don't know.
$57.
Okay. With $100 budget?
I don't know what the budget on what their argument budget is.
But I guess what's the second? Who's number 2?
Their argument for number 2 is your argument, Mark Andrews.
Okay, and what's his value assigned?
Knowing that Travis Kelce is a $57 value, how much do you think Mark Andrews is?
15?
21.
Okay. And then what's
that
it go down
tells
to,
you
to Hawkinson?
How much the drop off is. By the way, Hawkinson, $13.
Okay.
Place number 4.
This is where he put George Kittle. I mean, he's had health concerns, but the 49ers always involve their tight ends, and it's because of how good Kittle is if they can keep him on the field.
So they argue that that's number 5. I actually think he's number 3 over T.J. Hawkinson.
Okay.
I think he, if he stays healthy, he is probably better than Mark Andrews even. And I would put him as number 3. I think T.J. Hawkinson is actually number 2. Mark Andrews is number 4. They say someone else is, but that drop off. So we've gone 57 for first with Travis Kelce. We've gone to 21 with Mark Andrews, and they put 13 for T.J. Hawkinson. The 4th place person is worth $7. Your Honor, I rest my case. The most valuable member of your fantasy team will always be Travis Kelce until he retires.
Yep.
But the number 1 tight end will always be worth his weight. Always. By the way, number 4 is where I put Mark Andrews. Number 5, Rich, I put Darren Walker.
I have Darren Waller.
Darren Waller.
I have Darren Waller as well. I really think he's going to do well this year. There's not many playmakers in the Meadowlands for the G-men, and I think it's going to do him well to get out of Vegas, Vegas and Oakland.
Yeah.
So I think he could do really well this year.
Yep. And then my number 6 tight end is going to be Kyle Pitts.
This is where we disagree a little bit, Mike.
Okay.
I put Evan Ingram here.
I like that pick.
He finally put up decent numbers.
Yeah.
With under Doug Peterson. Yeah. Well, with Kyle Pitts, I think he probably warrants being in that top 6 or maybe even top 5. But for me, it's the comment I have with Kyle Pitts and why I've kind of shied away from him is how much longer are we waiting for him to have his breakout year? And also Atlanta is looking to be a run-first team.
Yeah.
So that's why I would not draft Kyle Pitts if the other options that I have listed above him aren't there, or if I wanted to jump on him because the other people, because he's just to stop him from dropping.
Yeah. Or stop a run.
Yeah, or to stop a run on another position group. But I don't have Pitts. For me, I'm not sold on Pitts yet.
Okay.
Another guy that probably is in people's lineup as a top tight end, but one that I'm kind of fading on is Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, 100%.
Just a lot of mouths to
100%
feed.
fading.
A lot of mouths to feed in Philly.
Yeah. And Philly's a rough place to play. So, okay.
Who do you have as a couple maybe breakouts or sleepers for tight ends, Mike?
I'm gonna put. I mean, I don't know if this counts as a breakout or sleeper, but Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, I have Dalton Kincaid down. I think that the Bills drafted him high in the first round for a reason.
Yep. And he's got arguably one of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at one of the top 3 quarterbacks, and you're looking at one of the guys that, like, to me, makes sense.
All right. Mike, for me, if you're going to look for a tight end too, like a backup, or if you're going to let your other league mates maybe invest the draft capital that's going to need to get one of those top tight ends, a guy that could put up decent numbers, would be Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers.
Wow. Are you recommending a Steeler?
I know.
Are you feeling okay, Rich?
I'm not. I don't like it.
Did the sun bake in on you too much while you were driving up here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably the only Steeler I'm going to recommend, actually.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that Arizona is going to lean on Zach Ertz enough this year to make anything worthwhile of him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, what's the position you want to go to next?
Let's go over to the wide receivers.
Okay, wide receivers are great. These are where you're going to get... Now, here's the problem with wide receivers. Wide receivers are overvalued in most leagues. Actually, the number 1 overvalued position is running back. Number 2 is wide receiver. There are plenty of fish in the sea in this one. Take your time. Make sure, if you're going to get one of the top 3, fine. Outside of that, let it go. There's going to be runs on these guys. Don't worry. You got this. Okay. Number 1 overall, I've already said it, Justin Jefferson.
I agree. Mike, I have Jamar Chase as number 2.
See, I put Tyreek Hill here.
All right. I have him down at 3. The thing is with Hill is if Tua gets hurt, his production is going to go down.
And this is a problem with everyone except for what's his name? I had it highlighted as a potential buyer. Raheem Mostert.
Mostert, okay, yeah.
Look at him as a value pick at the running back position. We'll get there in a minute,
okay,
and I'll explain it. But anybody in a Miami uniform that is catching the ball is dependent on Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep, because they went with Mark White for their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they had brought back Bridgewater, I wouldn't have been confident or comfortable with that.
Nope, but I'd be more comfortable than Mike White.
Yeah. So, Mike, who did you put at number 4 for you?
Did we do number 3?
Yeah, I went with Hill. Who did you go with?
Oh, I went with Devontae Adams at number 3.
Okay.
I still haven't put Jamar Chase yet.
Ooh, interesting. I have Adams down as my 4.
So I have Chase as my number 4.
Okay.
So
that's fair. Jimmy G worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he really doesn't throw the deep ball like Aaron Rodgers or probably even Derek Carr. But Devontae Adams, is almost proven that he can play. He can put up decent numbers no matter who his quarterback is.
Yeah. You get the ball near him, he'll make that catch. And if you make that catch, once he makes that catch, then you gotta make sure you're on him and catch him. So.
All right. So who do you have as your last 2 to round out your 6-pack?
In my 6-pack, my last 2, I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson, sneaking in because of the quarterback throwing to him.
All right. So we differed on these two.
Okay.
As I rounded up mine with C.D. Lamb and A.J. Brown.
Okay. This is a thing that you and I have talked about for quite a while. I don't mind the Brown one, by the way. Brown, I'm okay with. Except he does start to get into that too many mouths to feed scenario.
Okay.
That's the slight knock on him. That's why I didn't put him in my top 6. And then C.D. Lamb, what have we seen from Dak Prescott to make you think that he is valuable enough to make his wide receivers up that high?
He still has put up good numbers.
He puts up good numbers, but
and that's what you're looking for in fantasy football.
I'm not sure I'm convinced yet. Dak hurts me on picking guys from Dallas. That doesn't mean I won't. That doesn't mean I might not have a stacked lineup, and I might not have I might have C.D. Lamb in my team. Probably not. He'll probably go before I pick him up, or before I get to him. But
yeah, for me, Mike, I put Cooper Kupp as a buyer beware.
Okay.
Because he suffered a setback to his hamstring injury. So
yeah,
and he's probably the only good target that Stafford has left.
Yeah.
So I don't know if force feeding the ball to him could lead to some bad decisions because you're throwing to the only guy that you trust in that downfield.
No, I totally get that. That is a very distinct possibility there.
So for me, I would pass on Kupp. I did before I read the story about him having an injury setback. I
didn't see that yet. So that's
in my
bad.
6, so that's why. So I moved him over the buyer.
If I would have read that one, I probably would agree with you on that. And good to know. Bring in the knowledge right there. My buyer beware in this one is Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs, okay.
Yes, he has the number. We'll get there. Quarterback in the league, but he tends to be a head case.
He can be a head case,
and has been willing to walk out on his team. And asked to be traded and not show up to things.
But supposedly the relationship has been mended. Supposedly.
Yeah, here's my problem. When you have a all-star quarterback throwing to you and you complain that he doesn't give you the touches you need, and then you get another all-star quarterback, a top 5 quarterback throwing to you, and then you complain that he doesn't give you what you need, the problem's you.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Stephon Diggs is one of those guys that I'm not saying don't draft him, but maybe don't draft him as high as a lot of the people would have you think he deserves to be.
Okay. So another guy that I have as a buyer beware, Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, 100%.
Being with Christian McCaffrey in town, he's not going to get those rushing yards and touchdowns that he got 2 years ago when he burst onto the scene as almost like a waiver wire steal, a waiver wire or a free agent pickup steal when the Niners made that run to the Super Bowl. So those rushing stats are gone, and so he's just too boom or bust for me.
Yeah. I can agree with that one. Okay, speaking of rushing yards, let's move in to the running back.
Well, Mike, any breakouts do you think you have for wideouts?
My running backs or wide receivers I think are a dime a dozen.
Okay.
I honestly, you can make half of these guys. You can make tons of these guys a great part of your team. How about a deep dive?
Okay.
Zay Flowers.
Okay.
He is the third back in Miami.
In Jacksonville.
Or in Jacksonville.
He's a third option.
But he's got speed, and the man's gonna work for it. Those third slots, are the guys that work the hardest because they have to.
Okay.
So look for, and I'm not saying pick him up in the first 3 rounds even.
But he'd be a good depth. It'd be a good depth addition to your
Great
roster.
depth addition to your roster. If you got a decent sized league, he's one of those guys you're probably going to want to pick up.
Yeah, for me, 2 guys to look at as maybe like a sleeper or like a breakout guy. Drake London down in Atlanta and Christian Watson in Green Bay.
You are hot on Atlanta this year.
I don't know what it is, but Drake London has had good chemistry with Ritter.
Yeah.
So if I could, I would pick London instead of Pitts. If it came down to I needed a tight end or I needed a wide receiver, I would. Those 2 were in the same range, I'd go with London over Pitts.
Okay. Let's run over to running back. The top 2 are pretty obvious, I think.
Okay, who you got?
I got Christian McCaffrey 1, Austin Eckler number 2.
You know, I put Eckler as 3 because I went with McCaffrey 1 and Nick Chubb at 2.
Man, I can't put Chubb up that high. 1, Cleveland's not looking to run the ball. You don't bring Deshaun Watson. By the way, and if you're going to run the ball, who are you going to run him with? Deshaun Watson, the guy already touching the ball. Don't give him the option to fumble on a handoff.
No, I think that team is built with Chubb, and he doesn't have.
It was built in Chubb, but it's not anymore. Chubb's going to be the 3rd option most of the time. Deshaun Watson wants to be a star, and you know what? Cleveland's going to make him one. Chubb is actually my buyer beware on running backs.
Okay.
Because look out for his ball hog quarterback. Okay, so we got our 1s, 2s out of the way. Who do you got at number 3 then, Rich? If you don't have,
I put Eckler there.
Okay, I was confused. My number 3 is going to be Saquon Barkley.
All right. I have Barkley down at 5. I put Derrick Henry in 4.
4 is where I have Derrick Henry. I don't even have Chubb in my top 5. I don't have him in my top 6.
All right.
But Chubb is my number. Let me do my math real quick.
He'll put up the points. You watch. He will put up the points and
4.
be.
Henry's number 4.
He'll put up those points by the time the season's over. Just a gut feeling. I don't know what it is.
And then number 5, I go with Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
Yeah. Who do you got at number 5, Rich?
This is where I put Barkley.
Okay. Number 6, who you got?
I'm going to go with the rookie, B. John Robinson.
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to go with Najee Harris.
Okay.
Just something about it this year feels good for him. People I wouldn't draft. Troy Pollard.
See, I kind of like the Troy Pollard pick. I wouldn't want him as my running back 1, but I'd take him as my 2. As my 2 or into the flex, though.
He looks like he could be great, but that is going to be a split ball. It is going to be split, no matter what. Who do you think?
With who?
Zeke?
Zeke's in New England.
Did he get traded?
They released him. They didn't re-sign him. He's in New England.
I thought he got... okay, well, then in that case...
Who's the backup running back?
Okay. You're right.
That's why
Troy might be Troy then might move up to a 7th spot. Or a 10 or 8 to 10 spot.
I don't think he's like in a sleep. I don't have him down as a sleeper. Because I tried to go a little bit deeper on the running backs. To go with breakouts or sleepers.
Again, running backs, there's lots of value deep though. That's the hard part. Like Joe Mixon is still going to be quite valuable for you.
Yep, I have him down as a sleeper guy. People forget about him in that in that stacked Cincinnati offense. Sometimes
you're gonna get guys. Now you might not want to go. Might not want to plan a team around an Alvin Kamara, but he's still gonna put decent numbers up for you.
He is suspended for 3 games.
Okay. So he's a
So for me, he's on a buyer beware for me. I got burned with Kamara last year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch him this year.
See, this is a problem with fantasy, though.
I know.
Last year, he burned you. After his 3-game suspension, he could come out and show you that he's the greatest running back in the league.
Or he could be rusty all year, and you're not going to see the results until the second half, until middle of the second half of the season.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. My sleeper pick, though, is going to be James Conner. Look, Arizona doesn't know what they have. And when you don't know what you have, you know what you got to rely on? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And what's more simple than handing the ball off and making a run?
That's fair. So you brought up Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
So I'd say maybe a good guy. I don't know if I'd want him as leading my backfield, but I think he's going to have a role in his offense. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I can see that one.
I think they're going to feature him in an Alvin Kamara type role, and I think they almost have to kind of justify why they picked him so high in the first round.
Another one to look at hardcore that I think kind of a sleeper, Jonathan Taylor.
You see, I've got him on buyer beware.
Why?
I think he's in a contract dispute. He's out for the first 4 games because they put him on the pup.
Okay.
On the pup list, so it's one of those guys to where if you go off of where he's
But if you
ranked,
get him in week 3, because nobody's gonna pick him up for the first three games at least, right?
well, no, he'll get drafted.
I don't think he gets drafted.
He'll get drafted.
I don't think he gets drafted. See, my sleeper picks are guys that I don't think are going to be drafted. I think you can pick up late.
Okay. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going to be one of those guys.
I think he could be. Mostly because, again, people are going to be scared off by that. People are also scared that what's going on in Indianapolis? What do they have going on right now?
There's a lot of hope. That's about it.
But that's about it. Like, exactly. And so because that's all they have, you know what they have to do? They too have to run the ball a lot. He's going to be the guy to get it.
Well,
Okay.
with Taylor, I worry with the rookie quarterback and a rookie quarterback that's mobile that he could also vulture some touchdown runs from him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd shy away from Taylor. So another group, I don't really have specific names, but backfields that I'm just avoiding because they're just too many backs in that room to know who's going to get the points from week to week is Philly and Kansas City. Good backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, but the Eagles, Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott.
Yep.
There's just too many heads on that running back by committee to know to draft any of them. Because you don't know who's going to get the points from week to week. I also don't know what to make of the Jets backfield with Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall.
Yep. Totally agree with that one. Okay, real quick, let's move over to quarterback as we are at the 52-minute mark. We're going to be a little bit long, folks, which is okay. Stay with us. We're giving you good stuff here. At the quarterback level, number one in fantasy is not not the best quarterback all the time. And this is why, my favorite quarterback in the league right now is not my number one quarterback for fantasy.
Okay. So I think it is. I put Mahomes as my number one quarterback. He can throw the ball. He's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to get you yardage. He's not going to get you rushing yards, which some other guys will. But the passing touchdowns and the yardage is what will make up for his lack of rushing totals.
Yeah, but the problem there is that the guy I have at number one is going to get you those rushing yards. He's going to get you passing yards. He's going to get you at least one rushing touchdown on top of his throwing touchdowns every 3 games, at least.
All right, so who is that guy for you?
Lamar Jackson.
Ooh, okay. I got Lamar Jackson down a little bit further.
Okay, tell me another quarterback that runs like Lamar.
Jalen Hurts.
Okay, there you go. That's my number 2.
Okay, that's fair.
Look for your points in fantasy. The multiplier is your running quarterbacks, because the running quarterbacks are more dangerous down in the. They're more likely to get touchdowns. They're more so. Look at those guys. I think they are way undervalued compared to what they should be. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. He's gonna throw for that. If you got that 500-yard throwing bonus, you're gonna get that almost every week. You're gonna get a guy who just puts down the yardage, but he doesn't. He uses his legs to get out of the pocket to make plays happen, not get downfield.
All right, Mike. So you went with you have Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts.
1 and 2. Yep.
Okay. Who do you have at 3?
Patrick Mahomes.
All right. I still don't have Lamar Jackson. I went with Josh Allen at number 3.
And that's not a bad pick. I legitimately have him at number 5.
All right. Number 5 is where I have Lamar Jackson. For me, with Lamar, it's still a health thing. He's got his contract, so maybe last year was him being cautious with his body and trying to protect his brand so he could get paid. But I still didn't like I still didn't like him being overly cautious with an injury. But at the same time, I didn't. As a fan, you don't know the full extent of an injury.
Yeah.
But the media certainly played it off of, well, he could have come back later. He could have come down. He could have been back for that playoff game, or he could have been back for that week 18 or 17 week. Yes, we are down to 5, Mike.
Bust out the cigars, baby. Smoking Joe.
I have Joe Burrow as well. And who rounds out your top 6, Mike?
My top 6, a lot of people are going to say that I'm a homer for this one, but I'm actually going to say Justin Fields.
Okay, that's fair.
He has the legs. He has been the last 2 years the number 1 rusher in Chicago. On top of it, this year, the Bears have made some moves and doing things to improve the team. Look for him to have some decent targets. That, again, when you have decent targets, what's that do for you?
It's going to open up
your ability to run. Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Look for Justin Fields. This is his breakout year. I will say it now.
All right. I rounded out the top 6 for you with Justin Herbert.
And again, that's probably standard around most of the country. My do not draft.
Okay, go for it, Mike.
4 quarterback.
Okay.
I gotta look around, make sure none of my friends from up north are around. Okay. Kirk Cousins.
Okay, I was not expecting Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, don't draft.
Well, why Kirk Cousins, Mike?
Aging.
All right.
Lack of proof of work. Now, he's good on fantasy. He really is.
All right.
But I think if he continues to lack results, you're going to see the fan base turn on him quick. Yeah, he can put numbers up, but numbers don't matter unless you have wins. And wins are what matter. And that team is going to be... It is a weak conference. It is a conference that... Or it's a weak division. It's also a weak conference overall. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest.
Okay.
There's only, 3 teams that truly anybody thinks in the NFC that are going to make the Super Bowl? How many teams do you think could make the Super Bowl in the NFC?
Legitimately, 2.
2. I have 3. We'll talk about that next week.
Yep.
But you can't convince me that he's going to be the guy to take them over the hump, because we haven't seen it yet. He could be great. He generally puts up decent numbers, but I think if he doesn't put up wins, which is what the team needs, that's going to cost him starts. They're going to start looking, and they're going to have to do something. And if they change up the playbook that doesn't fit right into his wheelhouse, that's when he's going to get flustered. It's going to cause him problems. Don't draft him.
Okay. For me, Mike, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott as a guy I'm really shying away from.
Yep.
I don't know what the Mike McCarthy offense is going to look like, but
Does it matter?
From what I've read, it seems like they want to run the ball more.
Yep.
So if they're running the ball more, that's going to mean less touchdowns thrown. That's going to mean less touchdowns thrown. So for me, and when you're getting a lot of your points off of touchdowns because Dak doesn't run the ball,
yeah,
that's a problem. And he led the league in interceptions last year.
Okay, my number 2, do not draft.
Okay.
Everybody knows this one, right?
Go ahead, Mike. I think I know who you're going with, but I'll let you say it.
My favorite Samoan, Tua Tagovailoa.
All right. All right. I would not want to take him. I wouldn't want to have him as my QB1. I'd take a chance for him as a 2.
No. In our league, where you start 2 quarterbacks,
yep,
you would start him every week.
I would plan ahead and probably go 4 quarterbacks, but by the time I leave the draft, I'm going to have 4 quarterbacks on my roster if I draft Tua.
So you're planning on him getting injured?
Yeah.
Why is that a good draft pick if you expect him to get injured, if you're not going to keep him for longer than half the season?
Ride the wave while he's healthy.
How long is that going to be? Tua is the ultimate.
I'll take what I can get.
What if he's concussed the first play?
That's why I drafted 4 quarterbacks.
Then you wasted a draft pick on a guy that's going to be out forever. Hopefully he's not dead by the time he hits the turf. Don't pick him. Don't do it, Rich. You're smarter than that. Pick him if you want him as your number 4 quarterback, sure, maybe. But I would not start him at all. No.
It all depends on where the draft board falls.
No. I would pick Sam Darnold
as a backup.
I would pick Sam Darnold as a backup over Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
Tua Tagovailoa, I genuinely think is the worst quarterback to draft in fantasy. You know he's going to be out at some point, and hopefully it's not in a way that ends his life.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
For me, that offense is catered to his skill set.
Nope, don't care. You're right.
That's just me. If he's healthy, that's why I put the stats on the right notes. You can see it if you want to, but it says when healthy, he puts up points. But have a backup plan.
Is it in where's it at?
It's on just a my thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you
one
said
of those things I can show you after we get off here.
And that's fine. And I agree. When he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't trust that he will stay healthy long enough. Period. Bottom line, no ifs, ands, or buts. Do not draft Tua Tagovailoa, which makes me wonder if you should draft any Miami Dolphin. That's that statement. Finally, okay. Rich, one defense.
So maybe a guy that not forget about as a QB.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Jared Goff.
Yeah. He's going to be in Detroit. Detroit's going to be...
Especially if there's a dome. Especially if he's playing in warm... Well, basically, if he's not playing in cold weather, he'd be a good pickup for him.
So outside of Chicago and outside of...
Green Bay.
Watch
your matchups. He'd be a good streaming option for you.
Yeah, I can go with that. Late. Okay, let's get into team defense. Rich, pick one defense. Who you going with?
San Fran.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Mostly, but the reason you picked it is because you can't pick the true number 1 defense in the league right now, and that's going to be the Steelers.
No, you're right. I would not draft the Steelers. I don't have the Steelers in my top 6, but I don't know how much of that is my bias against the Steelers or
worst defense in the league. Don't draft them.
Yeah.
Pick who is it?
Worst defense?
Yep.
Arizona.
Yep. 100%. I agree.
Don't waste your draft pick. Kickers, okay. Mike. If you got to pick a kicker in our league. Some people might not play in a league that has a kicker.
I'm the last. I think I'm the last pick of the draft. If the snake draft ends, I think the snake draft ends on me picking last.
So, but let's just say for some strange reason, whether it's where you fall on the draft board or you're in a position to where
the only one we're drafting outside of the last pick in the draft or the last round of the draft, Justin Tucker.
Okay. I have Evan McPherson at the Bengals. I have Tucker there too, but I like McPherson. But with kickers, I'm almost looking at
I
where
don't care.
where their bye week is at.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, if I can get a top tier kicker and his bye week is week number 13, that means I don't have to either drop him until week 13, or I don't have to worry about who I'm going to drop to pick up a 1 week kicker, so I can turn around and put my drafted kicker back in the lineup.
Graham Gano.
Graham Gano. Okay, I like that.
No, I'm just saying your options are Graham Gano, Justin Tucker, and Daniel Carlson.
Daniel Carlson's a good pickup too.
I agree.
The Raiders.
But are you willing to take those guys ahead of your third string running back?
No, probably not. When I've been doing mock drafts, I've either picked. I'm not looking at defense or kickers until like the third to last round.
Yeah,
If not the last round, if not the last 2 rounds, that's where I'm getting my defense and my kicker. And I'm not doing backups for either of those positions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I would pick a kicker before. I might even forget to pick a kicker in the draft.
You did it last year.
I don't care. You can pick up a kicker that's serviceable.
You can.
Anytime. Don't think about your kicker. It's overthinking it. Justin Tucker is not worth more than a couple of... If you are the first pick in the second to last round, maybe think about picking up a kicker. Maybe. But that'd be about it. Okay, Rich. Any other fantasy opinions that you have that you want to share, knowing that we are an hour and 6 minutes in?
Not really.
Okay.
We'll save it. That's a good talk. I don't want to give away any more sleepers or breakouts because we are drafting together tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
But we've done a show with a much smaller gap in between when we've talked about fantasy football on this show and
we've
when
done it same day.
We've done it same day within hours.
Yeah.
So
I'm good with that. I don't mind. Do you want to talk Banana Ball today, or do you want to try it next week?
We can talk about it last week since we're over an hour.
Yeah.
With all the talk about the NFL, make sure that you head on, look at our show description if you want to join our NFL Pick'em Challenge. Week to week, Yahoo has it set up to where all 18 weeks are now available to where you can pick your winners, so you can sign up and pick all your winners week 1 through week 118 and never have to touch it again. And you will still get show shout-outs every single week.
Whoa. We're not giving show shout-outs every week.
Well, somewhat. If your picks make maybe the
if you do
the
a good
top performer.
We are now at a point where we will have we can't give a shout-out for every player every week. But
okay.
When we do our full check-in of the standings 3 or 4 times in the football season, we will definitely give you a shout-out. Rich, we have 2 show shout-outs.
Okay.
The first one comes to you by Sue Hart. She said, good show. The second one comes to you by Sue Hart as well, asking our thoughts on the car that flipped 10 times. Scariest wreck we've seen in a long time. And it's not... We'll go back to the quick NASCAR corner for it. It wasn't the flipping. Flipping doesn't scare me. I've been watching NASCAR since flipping was normal. What's scary is how violent the flipping was compared to what it was years ago, and how it went up as quickly as it did. It's scary to see. That was pretty scary. But he turned out all right. Everything's good. Rich, any personal shout-outs?
Not this week, Mike.
I have to wish a happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Bethany, and my brother-in-law, Tyler, whose birthday was last week, and then Bethany's was yesterday, and then my nephew's, who is Sunday.
Ooh.
They have their birthdays all, right in a row. So, anyway, with that, Rich, what should we do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.